People think grief gets quieter after 20 years. That's not true. Grief just learns how to sit beside you without speaking. My son Ethan Richardson was buried in Ohio in October of 2004. I stood beside his grave wearing a brown jacket that didn't fit right and watched them lower my 22-year-old boy into the ground. Last month at exactly 8:17 p.m., his phone number called me. Not a similar number, not spam. His number. The same number I hadn't seen light up a screen in 2 decades. I couldn't breathe. And what happened after I answered changed 20 years of my life. Before we keep going, tell me down below, what country are you watching from and what time is it? Where you are right now, I always like seeing how far these stories travel. And if you enjoy real stories about family secrets and the moments that change everything, subscribe and stay with me here, because this story starts with a dead phone number and ends with a truth someone buried 20 years ago. People imagine grief as something loud, crying in empty rooms, falling apart in grocery store parking lots, standing in the rain staring at old photographs like some movie nobody asked to watch. Real grief isn't usually like that. Real grief learns your routine. It rides beside you to the hardware store. It sits quietly while you wait for your coffee. It becomes so normal you almost forget it's there. Almost. My name is Alec Richardson. I'm 64 years old and I live in a modest one-story brick house outside Toledo, Ohio, about 12 minutes from downtown if traffic behaves itself, and 25 if somebody decides Interstate 75 should become a parking lot. I've lived in the same place for 27 years, same driveway, same cracked basketball hoop Ethan used when he was 16, same maple tree out front that drops leaves directly onto my gutters every fall like it's holding a personal grudge. Life got smaller after my wife Maggie died 6 years ago. Not tragic smaller, quiet smaller. You know that feeling when a house stops sounding like itself? That's what happened. No second coffee cup beside mine. No television playing crime documentaries louder than necessary. No voice yelling, "Alec, don't forget milk," when I was already halfway to Kroger. Just silence. People talk about silence like it's peaceful. Silence can be mean. My mornings start the same way every day. 5:45 a.m. Wake up. Stretch slowly because my knees negotiated retirement before the rest of me did. Put on coffee, black, no sugar, no cream. My doctor says I should eat oatmeal. I say life already took enough things from me. At 6:15 sharp, unless Ohio weather decides violence is necessary, I drive my silver 2003 Ford Ranger to Rosie's Diner on Monroe Street. Rosie's isn't fancy. Chrome stools, scratched booths, coffee strong enough to remove paint from a wall. Perfect. Megan works mornings there, 26 years old. Purple streak in her hair. Calls everybody Han. Morning, Alec? Morning. Usual. Unless you suddenly hired a 5-star chef overnight. She laughs every single time. I don't know why. Some jokes survive on kindness. People know me there. Not because I'm important. Because old men become furniture in places if they stay long enough. I sit booth number 4, window side, read half the newspaper, pretend not to notice the same retired guys arguing about politics every Tuesday, then head home. Simple, predictable, safe. After Ethan died, predictable became important. My son was 22. His name was Ethan Richardson. Dark hair, too tall, too stubborn. Funny without trying. Could fix anything mechanical but somehow never remembered birthdays. Owned a battered dark blue Chevrolet Malibu he loved more than common sense. That boy once drove 45 minutes because Maggie said she wanted fries from a diner near Sandusky. 45 minutes for fries. She likes those fries, Dad. Son, potatoes are potatoes. No, Ethan said, some potatoes matter. He got that from Maggie, not me. I spent 32 years working telecommunications fraud investigations. Not glamorous. Nobody makes movies about middle-aged men staring at signal routing data. My career mostly involved tracking fraud systems, call manipulation patterns, stolen telecommunications routing. Boring. Useful, but boring. Maggie used to call me the human instruction manual. She wasn't entirely wrong. I notice details, always have, which can be useful or lonely. Depends on the day. Frank Donnelly understood that. Frank's been my best friend since Ronald Reagan was president. He's 66, former mechanic, Irish, loud, built like somebody who punches engines for exercise. Frank believes every problem in life can be fixed with tools, coffee, or profanity. Sometimes all three. He lives 9 minutes away. 11 if railroad tracks catch him. He still drives a faded red F-150 that somehow survived 3 presidents, 2 marriages, and what I'm reasonably sure was an electrical fire in 2014. Frank showed up every Thursday after Maggie died. Never announced it, never asked permission, just appeared. Thought I'd check if you're dead. Not yet. Disappointing. That was our friendship. Some people hug. Frank insults you therapeutically. 3 weeks before everything changed, he came over carrying cherry pie from Tony Paco's. Doctor says sugar's bad for us. I said. Frank sat down. Alec. Yeah. We're in our 60s. Yeah. If pie kills us, that's between us and God. Hard to argue with logic like that. My garage became our place. Old tools. Radio playing classic rock, dust everywhere. I still kept Ethan's old baseball glove hanging near the workbench. Frank never mentioned it. Good friends know which wounds belong alone. People ask if losing a child gets easier. No, you just get stronger carrying it. I still remember details I probably shouldn't. Ethan's laugh. His size 11 boots left by the back door. The way he'd leave cabinet doors open. The stupid habit he had of borrowing my socket wrench set and pretending he'd return it. Never did. October 14th, 2004. Rain, cold. Ohio sky gray enough to ruin your mood before breakfast. Highway accident, Interstate 75. Police officer came to our door at 10:42 p.m. I remember because details stick. The officer's tie sat crooked. His shoes were wet. Maggie knew before he spoke. Mothers know things nobody teaches. The next month barely exists in my memory. Hospital paperwork, insurance forms, funeral arrangements, people bringing casseroles nobody eats, people saying things like, he's in a better place. Maybe. But I wanted him here. Diane Mercer stepped in during those weeks. Maggie's older sister, organized, efficient, always moving, always fixing. She handled paperwork, insurance phone calls, documents. People praised her. Don't know what we'd do without Diane. Truth, neither did I. Not back then. Maggie fell apart after Ethan, quietly, dangerously quietly. Grief hollowed her out. By the time cancer took her years later, part of me thought she'd already left long before. There's one thing I never threw away. One thing. A phone bill, Sprint Wireless. November 2004. Ethan's last billing statement. Folded carefully. Kept inside an old metal filing cabinet in my basement. Don't ask me why. Grief keeps strange souvenirs. Some people keep watches. I kept numbers, phone numbers, call times, records, proof somebody existed. Pay attention to this next part. Because if I'd thrown that paper away, if I'd cleaned out one old drawer, if I'd decided memories hurt too much, none of this would have happened. Tuesday night arrived quietly. No warning, no music, no sign the world planned to change. I had leftover meatloaf warming in the microwave. Wheel of Fortune playing low in the living room. Rain tapping against the windows. 8:17 p.m. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I glanced down, and everything inside me stopped because the screen showed a number I hadn't seen in 20 years. Ethan's number. I stared at the screen long enough for the phone to ring 4 times. People think shock feels dramatic. It doesn't. Shock feels mechanical. Your brain starts opening drawers looking for explanations before your heart has time to panic. Spam call? Scam? Wrong number? Phone company glitch? Some idiot spoofing numbers? My old career trained me to think that way. Look for the boring explanation first, because boring explanations solve most mysteries. Most, not all. The screen glowed against the kitchen counter. One name, one number, Ethan. My hand felt cold, not shaking. Cold, different thing. I picked up the phone, stared another second, then answered. Hello? Nothing, just static, light, thin, almost electrical. Hello? I said again. Silence. Then breathing. Quiet breathing. My chest tightened so hard I thought I might actually pass out. You know those moments when your body reacts before your brain catches up, like slipping on ice, or hearing bad news at midnight. That. Then a voice. Young. Male. Nervous. Mr. Richardson. Not Ethan. Not even close, but young enough. Young enough? Hurt. I couldn't speak. Mr. Richardson, the voice said again. Who is this? Pause. I don't know how to explain this. Good. Because neither did I. Who is this? I repeated. My name is Connor Hayes. The name meant nothing. I think, he said quietly. I think somebody told me Ethan Richardson might have been my father. Everything stopped. Microwave humming, rain outside, wheel of fortune in the other room. Gone. All gone. Just silence. And one sentence. Ethan Richardson might have been my father. No, I said immediately. Fast. Too fast. No. I understand how this sounds. No, I repeated. My son died 20 years ago. Quiet. Then, I know. That word bothered me. No, not think, not heard. No. My fingers tightened around the phone. What exactly do you want? Nothing. People always say that before they want something. I found old adoption paperwork, Connor said. My mom passed away last year. I'm sorry. Thanks. Silence. Then, I found records. What records? A phone number. My throat tightened. The number connected to Ethan Richardson. No, I'm serious. No, I said again, because sometimes your brain becomes a broken machine repeating one safe word. No, Connor kept talking carefully, like somebody crossing thin ice. I wasn't looking for money. Didn't say money. Interesting. I wasn't trying to upset you. Too late. My adoptive parents told me almost nothing. How old are you? I asked. 22. 22. Same age Ethan was. My stomach dropped. No chance. No possible way. Math didn't fit. Timing didn't. My brain stopped. Wait. 22. 22 now, not then. I closed my eyes. Stupid. I was being stupid. Age worked. Age worked perfectly. Too perfectly. When were you born? I asked quietly. September 2003. September. Ethan died October 2004. My grip tightened harder, hard enough my knuckles hurt. Stay with me here, because this next part matters. Details matter. Connor said he grew up outside Detroit, Michigan. Adopted young, his adoptive mother, Sarah Hayes, school librarian. His adoptive father, Michael Hayes, truck driver. Good parents, decent life, normal, too normal. Why now? I asked. My mom died 11 months ago. I'm sorry. Yeah. Silence then. I found papers while cleaning. What papers? Birth records. What birth records? Old files. Connor. Yeah. I need you to understand something. Okay. My son is dead. Quiet. I know. No. I leaned against the counter. He died in 2004. I know. He was buried. I know. Then why are you calling me? Long pause. Long enough I thought maybe he'd hung up. Then, because whoever wrote my records connected me to Ethan Richardson. My heartbeat felt wrong, heavy, uneven. Telecommunications fraud. 32 years. Do you know what career experience teaches you? People lie, systems fail, records get corrupted, nothing stays clean forever. But numbers leave footprints. Phone numbers especially. Connor. Yeah. Text me everything. What? Documents? Pictures? Anything you found? Silence. You believe me? No. Honesty matters. No, I said. I don't, but I'll look. He exhaled. Tiny sound. Relief. Okay. Connor. Yeah? Don't call this number again tonight. Pause. Okay. Text only. Okay. Call ended. Kitchen silent again. Rain hitting windows. Microwave flashing 8:24 p.m. 7 minutes. Whole life moved 7 minutes sideways. Phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown attachment. Image loading. I opened it. Birth certificate. Michigan. September 2003. Connor Hayes. Mother listed. Father blank. My eyes moved lower. Handwritten note attached. Old file notation, barely readable. One phone number, one Ohio number. My number. The house line we'd had since Ethan was 14. My knees nearly gave out. No, 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 impossible. Absolutely impossible. Phone rang. Frank, of course. Universe sends chaos. Frank sends bad timing. You dead, he answered immediately. Frank. That's serious, huh? Come over. Silence. What's wrong? Just come over. You sound weird. Frank. I'm leaving now. 9 minutes later, headlights, truck door slam, boots, knock. Then Frank walking inside holding gas station coffee. You look terrible, he said. Thank you. No, seriously. I got a call. Scammer. No. Lottery. No. Politician. Worse. Frank sat down. What? I handed him my phone. He adjusted reading glasses. Looked. Read. Looked again. Alec. Yeah. Is this some internet nonsense? I don't know. Frank read slowly. Birth certificate, phone number, date, names, then no. That's what I said. No, Frank repeated. Absolutely not. I know. No chance. I know. No. Frank. What? I know. He sat quietly. Rare. Frank quiet meant serious. 5 seconds, 10. Then, you check metadata. I stared. He stared back. You spent 30 years chasing phone fraud, Alec. I know. So check it. Frank. No. He pointed. Don't do old man grief thinking. I am not. You are. I'm not. You absolutely are. Frank leaned back. You know what this feels like? What? Like somebody dropped gasoline near a campfire. Frank. No. He pointed again. Use your brain. I am. No. Frank. Alec. Silence. Then quieter. What if somebody lied? My chest tightened. Frank immediately shook his head. No. Frank. No. Listen, no. You don't know. You buried Ethan. I know. You saw no. Did I? My brain froze. No, I hadn't. Not really. Vehicle fire. Identification difficult. Closed casket. Hospital paperwork. Diane handled paperwork. Maggie couldn't function. I couldn't breathe. No, no, no. Frank saw it happen. Saw realization. Saw memory. Saw doubt. And suddenly, for the first time in 20 years, I wasn't remembering Ethan's funeral. I was remembering everything strange about it. Memory is a dangerous thing. People think memories stay frozen. They don't. They move, shift, hide things from you until you're finally ready to see them. Or until something forces you to. I didn't sleep that night, not even close. At 1:13 a.m., I was sitting in my basement wearing gray sweatpants, old reading glasses sliding down my nose, surrounded by 20 years of boxes I'd promised Maggie I would organize. Maggie used to call the basement Alec's Museum of Things That Might Matter Someday. Turns out she was right, again. Frank stayed until almost midnight. He offered to stay longer. I told him no. Truth, I needed to be alone. Not because I wanted quiet, because I needed space to think, real thinking, the kind that hurts. My basement smelled like old paper and cedar storage blocks. Metal shelves lined one wall, Christmas decorations, tax records, old manuals for appliances we didn't even own anymore. And the filing cabinet, 4 drawers, gray steel, heavy, ugly, important. I opened the bottom drawer, insurance records, old utility bills, medical paperwork, then Sprint Wireless. November 2004. I sat down slowly. My heart already felt wrong, not scared, worse. Hope mixed with fear. Hope after loss is dangerous. I need you to understand something. When you've buried a child, really buried one, you don't allow yourself hope. Hope becomes betrayal. Hope whispers things grief cannot survive. I unfolded the paper carefully. Sprint statement, account holder Alec Richardson. Second line, Ethan Richardson. Phone number, the same number that called me. No mistake, no typo, no bad memory. Exact match. I leaned back, closed my eyes, counted slowly. 1, 2, 3, still real, still there. I looked again. Call history. October 2004, final billing cycle, October 13th, October 14th. The accident happened October 14th. Rain. Interstate 75, 10:42 p.m. Officer Reynolds, crooked tie, wet shoes, funny what stays. I scanned line by line, most calls normal, friends, work, Maggie, me. Then October 14th, 2:11 p.m. Unknown Michigan number, 7 minutes, Michigan. My stomach tightened. Connor lived in Michigan. No, coincidence. Had to be. People connect dots that don't belong together. That's how conspiracy theories happen. My old career taught me that. Data lies when people force it. I stood, walked upstairs, made coffee. At 1:47 a.m. Doctor would hate that. Doctor doesn't live inside my head. Back downstairs, back to work. Old instincts waking up. Frank called it once. The machine. You disappear into numbers, he told me years ago. You stop talking like a human. Maggie agreed. His brain goes somewhere scary. They weren't wrong. Telecommunications fraud investigation isn't exciting. Mostly patterns, timing, behavior, tiny mistakes. People think criminals get caught because investigators are geniuses. Most get caught because they're greedy. Greedy people rush. Rush creates mistakes. Mistakes create trails. I opened another folder. Hospital paperwork. October 2004. Mercy Health records. Police incident summaries. Insurance forms. Funeral documents. And then something strange. Not huge. Small. Dangerously small. Burial authorization. Signature line. Mine. Maggie's. Funeral director. Date. October 18th. Problem. Maggie's signature looked wrong. Not fake. Wrong. Different pressure. Different shape. My pulse quickened. No. Impossible. Grief changes handwriting. Stress changes handwriting. People change. But still. Wrong. I pulled another paper. Hospital release forms. Same week. Maggie's actual signature. Different. Subtle. But different. My chest tightened. No jumping, no assumptions. Stay logical. Stay boring. Boring explanations first. I pulled Ethan's death documents. Vehicle fire. Identification complications. Closed casket recommended. I remembered that. Of course I remembered, didn't I? I sat back. Wait. No. Not remembered. Accepted. Different thing. Pay attention to this next part, because this mattered. I never saw Ethan. Not after the accident. Hospital advised against it. Diane handled discussions. Diane Mercer, Maggie's older sister, organized, efficient, reliable. At least that's what everyone said. Diane made phone calls, scheduled meetings, handled insurance, ordered death certificates, talked to funeral staff. Don't make Alec do this, she'd told people. He's barely functioning. She wasn't wrong. I wasn't functioning. I was surviving. Big difference. I opened another folder. Insurance records, life insurance payout, $20,000, vehicle coverage, medical settlement, nothing unusual. Then another paper, different envelope, smaller, folded. I frowned, opened it. Additional policy, private supplemental coverage, employer-linked benefit, amount $214,000. I stared, read again. $214,000. No, no way, no. I never knew about this. Never. My hands felt cold again. Maggie never mentioned it. I never signed for it. Nothing. I checked payout records, beneficiary review, administrative handling, processing representative Diane Mercer. No, no, no. I stood too fast. Chair scraped concrete. My chest tightened, not because of money. Money meant nothing. Money doesn't replace sons. Money doesn't fix graves. Money doesn't bring back October 14th. But hidden money, hidden paperwork, hidden signatures, those matter. Because secrets travel together. I grabbed my phone. 2:31 a.m. Texted Frank. Alec, awake. Immediate response, of course. Frank, old men don't sleep, I called. He answered instantly. What happened, Diane? What about Diane? There was insurance. So, $214,000. Silence. What? I didn't know. You're sure? I'm looking at it. How didn't you know? I don't know. Alec. I know. No. Frank. No. His voice changed. Serious, dangerous. Tell me exactly what you're looking at. I did. Paper by paper, detail by detail. Frank quiet. Very quiet. Bad sign. Finally, when's last time you talked to Diane? 3 weeks ago. About nothing. Go see her. No. Why? Because this sounds insane. Good. What means you're thinking? I rub my forehead. This doesn't prove anything. I know. Diane helped us. I know. She helped Maggie. I know. She sat beside me at the funeral. I know. Frank. Alec. Silence. Then, you know what bothers me? Frank asked. What? Greedy people. Diane isn't. I'm not saying she is. Frank. I'm saying greedy people always think grief makes people stupid. I close my eyes. Rain outside. Basement quiet. Clock ticking. Memory moving. Shifting. Changing shape. Then another memory. Sudden, sharp. Voicemail. My eyes opened. Voicemail. Ethan. Day before accident. October 13th. I stood completely still. No chance. I still had it. Maybe, old cassette archive. Years ago, before cloud backups, before smartphones, I saved important voicemail recordings. Old habit, old career, old paranoia, metal storage box, top shelf, basement. I moved fast, too fast, almost slipped. Frank still talking. Alec, Frank, what? I have to go. What? I forgot something. What thing? I don't know yet. Alec, I hung up. Basement shelf, storage box, dust, old labels, tax records, Maggie birthday messages, family recordings, then one cassette, black marker, small handwriting. Ethan October 2004 as my hand shook. First time all night. Because suddenly for the first time I wasn't asking whether someone lied. I was asking how much. There are two kinds of old men. The first kind retires and lets the world slowly drift past them. Golf, television, bird feeders. Complaining about weather like somehow rain became personal. The second kind never really stops doing what they used to do. They just do it quieter. I belong to the second group. At 3:18 in the morning, I was sitting cross-legged on my basement floor beside a cardboard box full of obsolete technology that Maggie once called Alec's collection of future landfill. Cassette tapes, phone adapters, old backup drives, signal testing equipment from years ago. A retired telecommunications investigator never throws things away, not because we're smart, because we're suspicious. The cassette sat beside me. Black plastic, small white label, Ethan, October 2004. I stared at it for almost 30 seconds, not because I was afraid of hearing Ethan, because I was afraid of hearing nothing. Funny thing about grief. People think grief wants answers. Sometimes grief wants protection. Protection from answers. I found my old cassette recorder in another storage box. Dust everywhere. Gray Sony unit from early 2000s. Heavy enough to survive nuclear war. I wiped it clean with my sleeve. Plugged it in. Nothing. Dead. Of course. Perfect, I muttered. 3 hours from sunrise. Potential family mystery. Technology rebellion. Excellent. I drove to Frank's house at 4:07 a.m. because good friendships survive unreasonable behavior. His porch light was off. Truck in driveway. House dark. I knocked. Nothing. Knocked again. Still nothing. Third knock. Window opened upstairs. Frank leaned out wearing a Cleveland Brown sweatshirt and what looked like deep disappointment. Alec. Frank. It's 4 a.m. I know. Somebody dead. I don't know. He blinked. What? I need help. With what? Cassette player. Silence. More silence. Then cassette player. Yeah. You woke me up. Yeah. At 4 a.m. Yeah. Because of cassette technology. Frank. Alec. I'll buy breakfast. 2 breakfasts. Fine. Hash browns. Fine. Coffee. Frank. I'm coming down. 23 minutes later, we sat inside his garage workshop. Space heater running, coffee brewing, tools everywhere. Frank believed organization was weakness. I still think you've lost your mind, he said. Possible. Statistically likely. Helpful. We found an old converter cable, adapter box, power supply. Frank connected wires, muttered mechanical profanity, hit the side twice. Machine turned on. Of course. You hit it. Technology respects confidence. No, it doesn't. You're welcome. Cassette loaded. Click. Tape moved. Static. Then Maggie's voice. Old family recording. Wrong tape. Frank looked at me. Good start. Shut up. Second tape. Static. Then Ethan, my son, 22 years old forever. Dad. I froze. Completely froze. You think you're prepared? You're not. Never. Hey, Dad. Same voice, same rhythm. Slight scratchiness when tired. Same Ethan. My chest tightened instantly. Frank went quiet. Completely quiet. Important detail. Frank respected certain moments. Tape continued. You're probably asleep. Tiny laugh. I know you hate voicemail. Another small laugh. I just wanted to let you know I'll be late tomorrow. Pause. Car door noise. Wind. Rain. I gotta drive up toward Detroit first thing. Detroit. Frank looked at me instantly. My pulse spiked. Detroit, Michigan. Connor lived near Detroit. No. Coincidence. Still coincidence. Has to be. Tape continued. Don't let Mom worry. Pause. Then, and Dad. Silence, brief, tiny, but strange. I'll explain everything later. Click, end message, garage silent. Only heater noise. Coffee machine humming. Nothing else. Frank slowly leaned back. Well? Yeah. Detroit. Yeah. Explain everything later. Yeah. We sat there quietly, neither speaking, neither breathing much. Frank rubbed his jaw. You know what bothers me? What? Timing. Timing bothers me too. No. He pointed. Timing always matters to people like you. People like me. He wasn't wrong. Telecommunications fraud investigation wasn't glamorous. Mostly pattern recognition, systems, routing, metadata, behavior, time. Time tells stories. You just have to listen. I pulled out my phone, opened Connor's text, birth records. Michigan, Detroit area, September 2003. Ethan, traveling Detroit area, October 2004. No, still not proof. Coincidences happen. Brains build connections. Dangerous, need facts, always facts. Frank, watch me. You disappearing into work brain. Maybe. I hate work brain. Work brain pays attention. Work brain also forgot Maggie's anniversary once. 1 time. 2. Frank. 3. Frank. Fine. Silence. Then quieter. What now? Good question. What now? Old instincts answered before emotions could. Data, verification, records, systems, check systems. I drove home around 6:30. Ohio sunrise gray and cold. Normal, world still turning. Funny how insulting that feels sometimes. My house looked exactly the same. Maple tree, driveway crack, garage door needing paint. Nothing changed. Everything changed. Coffee, fresh notebook, pen, old habits, right facts. No theories. Fact. Connor Hayes exists. Fact. Connor connected to Ethan. Fact. Phone number matched. Fact. Detroit mentioned before Ethan died. Fact. Additional insurance existed. Fact. Diane handled paperwork. Fact. Maggie's signature questionable. Good. Facts calm emotions. Emotions make mistakes. I opened my old desktop computer. Slow. Ancient. Frank once said it belonged in a museum. Still worked, which made it superior to half-modern technology. Telecommunications investigation changes how you think. People assume phone numbers disappear forever. Not true. Numbers travel, transfer, recycle, archive, reassign. Every system leaves trails, especially old systems, especially old telecommunication systems. Sprint merged, records moved, archives changed, complicated, not impossible. I knew where to look, not hacking, nothing illegal, just understanding how old routing databases worked, how carrier transitions happened, how historical ownership structures moved. Knowledge, that's all. 2 hours later, I found something strange, not impossible. Strange. The number, Ethan's number, hadn't simply disappeared. It remained inactive unusually long, years, then moved. Private transfer, corporate intermediary, then Michigan carrier routing. My stomach tightened. No. Again, not proof, but strange, very strange. Phone buzzed. Frank. What, you eat what? You eat food? No. Go eat food. I'm working. You've been retired 7 years. I'm busy. You become unbearable when you investigate things. I'm hanging up. Rosie's. What? Meet me. I don't. Rosie's. 30 minutes. He hung up. Frank weaponized friendship. 37 minutes later, Rosie's Diner. Booth 4, coffee, pancakes. Frank already there. Megan approached. Morning, Alec. Morning. You look terrible. Appreciate that. You need sleep. I need answers. She smiled politely. Young people assume old people say mysterious things accidentally. Frank waited until Megan left. Then, you're spiraling. No? Yes. No? Alec. Frank. Listen carefully. I am. You know systems. Yeah. You know fraud. Yeah. You know mistakes. Yeah. So tell me. What? If somebody lied 20 years ago, he leaned forward. What mistake would they make? I stared at my coffee. Black, no cream, no sugar, thinking hard. Then, I answered, the same mistake everybody makes. What? They forget old information survives. Frank nodded slowly. Good. Then he smiled. Dangerous smile. Friend smile. Problem-solving smile. Then maybe, he said quietly, it's time we go talk to Diane Mercer. And for the first time I realized something worse than believing someone lied. Believing someone I trusted might have helped bury it. You can drive 100 miles with a calm face and a completely broken mind. I learned that on Thursday. Detroit sat a little under an hour from Toledo if traffic cooperated, and construction crews temporarily decided to show mercy to humanity. Construction crews rarely make that decision. Frank insisted on coming. I told him no 3 times. Frank treated boundaries the same way raccoons treat garbage can lids. Suggestions. "You're not driving into Michigan alone," he said. "I'm 64 Frank, not 12. Emotionally debatable. "I don't need supervision." "You once microwaved aluminum foil." 1 time. Fire department remembers. "I hate you." "No, you don't." By 8:10 a.m., we were heading north on I-75. Gray Ohio sky, truck traffic, gas station coffee that tasted vaguely like melted batteries. Frank driving. Me staring out the passenger window. I wasn't good company. My notebook sat in my lap. Facts, questions, dates, phone records, insurance numbers. Detroit, October 2004. Connor Hayes. 22 years old. September 2003 birthday. My son's voicemail. I'll explain everything later. I kept hearing it, over and over, like grief found a new hallway inside my head. "You nervous?" Frank asked. "No." "Liar." "I'm thinking." "Dangerous hobby." I ignored him. "Want breakfast?" "No." "Coffee?" "No." "You gonna stare dramatically out windows all day?" "Frank." "What?" "I'm serious." "So am I." He glanced toward me. "Listen." "I am." "No theories yet." "I know." "No grief math." "I know." "No deciding things before facts." "I know." "Good." Silence. 5 minutes, 10. Then, "You think Ethan knew?" I asked. Frank tightened both hands on the wheel. "I don't know." "You think he knew?" I said I don't know. He said he'd explain something. "Yeah." "He drove toward Detroit." "Yeah." Alec. "What?" "We don't know." I hated when he was right. Around 9:35, Detroit traffic welcomed us the traditional way. "By making us regret existing," Connor texted. "Connor, Lafayette, and Rivard area. Small diner called Harper's Grill." Frank glanced over. "Kid picked diner food." "Apparently." "Good sign." "That's not evidence." "No." Frank smiled. "But good pie usually means good people." "That's absolutely not true." "You're negative today." I wonder why. Detroit looked exactly like cities always do. People moving, buses running, construction noise, coffee shops, office workers, normal life. Funny thing about carrying pain, you always expect the world to look different. It never does. Harper's Grill sat on a corner near older brick buildings. Nothing fancy. Red sign. Small parking lot. Windows slightly fogged from kitchen heat. Normal. Safe. Ordinary. My chest felt anything but ordinary. Connor sat near the window. Blue hoodie. Dark brown hair. Tall. Too tall. My feet stopped moving. No. 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 Frank saw it immediately. Put one hand gently against my shoulder. Not pushing. Grounding. "Easy." "I'm fine." "No, you're not." Connor stood, nervous, hands shoved awkwardly into jacket pockets. Young, very young, 22, exactly 22, same age Ethan stayed forever. Life can be cruel in strange ways. "Mr. Richardson," his voice. Not Ethan, not even close, but young enough. Young enough hurts. "Alec is fine," I said quietly. "Okay." "I'm Frank." Connor nodded. "Nice to meet you." Frank studied him carefully, too carefully. I recognized mechanic eyes, problem-solving eyes. Frank noticed details too, just different details. We sat. Waitress arrived, coffee, water, menu. Nobody touched menus. Connor swallowed. Hard. "Thanks for coming." "Yeah." "I didn't know if you would." "I almost didn't." Fair. Truth matters. Connor nodded slowly. "I understand." "No, you don't." But I didn't say that. "Tell me everything," I said. Connor sat quietly for a second, gathering thoughts. "I grew up in Dearborn." Small pause. My parents adopted me young. Michael and Sarah Hayes. His eyes lifted immediately. Yeah. Good people. Very. No hesitation. Good. Important. My mom died last year. I'm sorry. Yeah. Small smile. Sad smile. I found papers after. What papers? Old adoption files. Birth records. Some. Show me. He handed over a folder. Organized. Neat. Maggie would have approved. I opened it carefully. Birth certificate. Adoption paperwork. Medical release forms. Then photo. Small. Faded. Young woman holding newborn baby. 20 years old maybe. Blonde. Tired eyes. Hospital room. My chest tightened. I knew her. No, not knew. Recognized. Somewhere. Somehow. Memory scratching at locked doors. Who's this? I asked. Connor leaned closer. Biological mother. Name. Emily Carter. My stomach tightened. No, impossible. Emily Carter, Ethan's girlfriend. Summer 2003, college Toledo, 19 years old. Soft-spoken, nervous laugh. Maggie loved her. No, no, no. You okay? Frank asked quietly. No, not remotely. I kept reading. Hospital records, temporary guardianship, private adoption processing, Michigan. Wait, no. My eyes moved lower. Date, final transfer, November 2004. 1 month after Ethan died. I stopped breathing. Frank leaned closer. What? I handed paper over. He read. Expression changed instantly, dangerous, focused. What the hell? He whispered. Connor shifted nervously. What? I looked up. When did you find these? 8 months ago. Why call now? I wasn't sure. Sure about what? You. What? My mom, Sarah. Pause. Before she died, she told me something. Cold, sudden, sharp. What? She said if I ever looked. Connor swallowed hard. Look for Alec Richardson. My hands tightened. No, no, no. Why? I don't know. You asked. She wouldn't tell me. Connor, I'm serious. Why wouldn't she tell you? She said pause. Long pause. She said some people made choices because they were scared. Nobody spoke. Restaurant noise blurred away. Coffee cups. Kitchen sounds. Silverware. Gone. Only one thing left. Scared. People made choices because they were scared. Frank slowly folded the paper. Careful, controlled, dangerous. Kid? Connor looked up. Yeah? Frank pointed. Tell us everything about Emily Carter. Connor nodded slowly. Okay. And for the first time I realized this wasn't about whether Ethan survived. This was about what survived him. There's a specific kind of fear that shows up when a memory starts changing shape. Not disappearing, not fading, changing. Like walking into your childhood house and realizing the hallway was smaller than you remembered. Or hearing a story your family told for 20 years and suddenly noticing the part nobody ever explained. That drive back from Detroit felt like that. Frank drove. I stared out the window. Again, he let me. Good friends know when silence needs room. Connor stayed in Detroit. We promised we'd talk again. Promised. Funny word. Promises matter differently after loss. The sky over Ohio looked heavy when we crossed back toward Toledo. Clouds low, cold wind, late October trying to become winter. I sat with Connor's folder on my lap. Emily Carter, 19, Ethan's girlfriend, summer of 2003, college kids, young, stubborn, completely convinced life would wait for them. Life never waits. You okay? Frank asked. No. Good. What? Means you're honest. I rubbed my forehead. I should have known. Known what? Something? Alec? What? Stop. I missed something. No. I did. No. Frank, you buried your son. Silence. That changes people. I still should have known. No. His voice sharpened, rare. You don't get to do that. What? Punish yourself because somebody else lied. We don't know that. Yeah, he said quietly. We do. That bothered me, because part of me knew he might be right, and another part still hated it. Diane Mercer, Maggie's older sister, 62, organized, practical, church volunteer, treasurer for 2 local charities, Christmas cards every year, perfect handwriting, perfect manners, perfect casseroles. People trusted Diane. People trusted Diane because Diane acted like someone who deserved it. I trusted Diane. Maggie trusted Diane. After Ethan died, especially after Ethan died, Diane became the person holding pieces together. Insurance, phone calls, funeral arrangements, paperwork. I remembered that. But now memory started moving. Small things first, little details, little strange moments. I remembered sitting at our kitchen table October 2004, hands shaking, coffee cold, Diane standing near the counter. Alec, she said gently, you don't need to handle this. I can. No, I said I can. Please. Soft voice, careful voice, kind voice. I'll help. Back then, kindness felt like oxygen. Now I wasn't so sure. By 4 that afternoon, I sat in my garage staring at Ethan's old baseball glove. Frank sat nearby drinking coffee. 3rd cup, possibly 4th. Say it, he said. What? You're thinking. No. You get wrinkle lines right here. He pointed toward his forehead. I don't have wrinkle lines. Alec, Frank, say it. I leaned back. Garage heater humming softly. Cold air sneaking under the door. Tools hanging neatly. Maggie made me organize them years ago. She said chaos made me grumpy. She wasn't wrong. I keep thinking about Diane, I admitted. Good. That's not good. It is. No. Why? Because if I'm wrong, Alec. If I'm wrong, you won't be. You don't know that. Frank leaned forward. No. Quiet. I don't. Silence. Then, but greedy people leave fingerprints. That sentence stayed. Fingerprints. My whole career, fingerprints, not literal, behavioral, patterns, mistakes, timing. People tell on themselves, especially arrogant people, especially people who think they're smarter than everyone else. Pay attention to this next part, because this matters. Arrogant people don't prepare for questions. They prepare for accusations. Big difference. Accusations make people defensive. Questions make people careless. Thursday night, 7:18 p.m. I called Diane. Hello, same voice, controlled, warm, careful. Alec. Diane. Oh, honey, honey. She only called me honey when she wanted something. Memory changing shape again. You okay? She asked. Yeah. You sound tired. Long week. I understand. No, you don't. Can I stop by tomorrow? I asked. Small pause. Not long. Small? Enough. Of course. You busy? No. You sure? Alec. Small laugh. You don't need permission. I know. You okay? Yeah. You sound strange. No. Are you sure? Yeah. Silence. Then, Frank, okay. My eyes narrowed. Interesting. Not Maggie, not me. Frank. Because Diane knew Frank stayed close. Frank asked questions. Frank noticed things important. He's fine. Good. Pause. You need anything? No. You sure? Yeah. Small pause, then, okay. Call ended. Frank looked up immediately. Well, yeah. What did you hear? Nothing. Liar. Nothing useful. Liar. I sat quietly, thinking. Replay. Tone. Timing. Words. Old instincts. Telecommunications fraud investigations train you to hear behavior. People reveal themselves. Speed. Hesitation. Emphasis. Breathing changes. Micro pauses. Fear has rhythms. Confidence has rhythms. Something felt wrong, not proof, pattern. Different. Friday morning, 8:42 a.m., Sandusky, Ohio. Diane lived there now. Small 2-story house near a quiet neighborhood lined with old trees and careful lawns. I hadn't been there in months. Frank came. Of course. I'm not staying in car. Didn't ask. You would have. Probably. House looked nice. Nicer than I remembered. New landscaping, new shutters, new SUV, black Acura MDX. Frank noticed immediately. Huh. What? Retirement paying well. Frank? What? Diane worked. Yeah. Saved. Yeah. Smart. Yeah. He nodded slowly. Okay. We walked up. Door opened before we knocked. Diane smiled. Controlled. Perfect. Alec. Hug. Perfume. Vanilla. Same perfume. 20 years. Same. Frank. Die. Living room. Coffee. Cookies. Family photos. Normal. Safe. Perfect. Too perfect. You look tired, Diane said. Long week. I understand. No, you don't. Conversation moved carefully. Weather, football, local news, normal, too normal. Then I asked, remember Emily Carter? Silence, tiny, less than a second, enough. What? Emily. Ethan's girlfriend. Oh, smile, small, controlled. I remember. You liked her. I did. You kept talking to her after Ethan died too fast. No. No hesitation. Interesting. None. No. You sure? Why there? Tiny change, tiny pressure. Fear has rhythms. Remember, I met somebody. Who? Young man. Pause. Small. Dangerously small. What young man? Connor Hayes. Silence. There it was. Not big, not dramatic. Tiny, but real. Diane blinked once, twice. Hands tightened slightly around coffee mug. Fear. Real fear. Alec. Voice softer. Careful. Who is Connor Hayes? Too smooth, too prepared. Bad sign. You tell me. No. Smile. Controlled. I mean it. Diane. What? Who is Connor Hayes? I don't know. Lie. My whole career. 32 years. Lie. Not because words, because timing. People tell truth fast. Lies require assembly. Frank stayed quiet? Good. Very good. Then Diane made a mistake. Small. Stupid. Greedy people rush. Remember Alec, she said quietly. If this is about money, my blood went cold. I never said money, not once. Room suddenly felt very small, very quiet. And for the first time, Diane Mercer looked scared. There's an old lesson people learn in investigations. You do not push when someone starts unraveling. You step back. You let gravity do the work. Diane Mercer sat across from me in her perfectly clean living room, holding a white coffee mug with tiny blue flowers painted around the rim. Her hands looked steady. Her eyes didn't. If this is about money, she stopped. Too late. You know that feeling when somebody slips on ice but hasn't hit the ground yet. That moment, that exact moment. Frank stayed silent beside me, smart man. Mechanics understand pressure. Too much pressure breaks things. The right amount reveals weaknesses. Money, I said carefully. Diane blinked, small, fast. I didn't mean no. I leaned back slowly. You should explain what you meant. I meant if someone is trying to scam you, too quick, prepared, wrong. Connor Hayes isn't asking me for money. I didn't say he was. No. I nodded. You didn't. Silence. The clock above her fireplace ticked softly. 4:37, Friday afternoon. Cold sunlight through the front window. Family photos lined neatly across a shelf. Maggie, Christmas, 1998. Ethan, high school graduation. Me, 20 pounds lighter and significantly more optimistic. Diane followed my eyes. You know I'd never hurt your family. There. Interesting. Not what are you talking about? Not who's Connor? Not why are you asking straight to defense? People prepare defenses for truths, not lies they haven't heard yet. Frank finally spoke. Quiet. Controlled. Nobody said you hurt anybody. Diane looked toward him. Tiny irritation. gone quickly. But there, arrogant people hate witnesses, especially witnesses who aren't afraid of them. I think Alec's upset, Diane said softly, understandably. I'm fine, I said. No, she said gently. You're grieving again. No, wrong, not grieving. Thinking, big difference. I met Connor. Pause, small, dangerous. I know, Diane said. The room froze, not dramatic. Not movie dramatic, real dramatic. The kind where your body notices before your brain does. Frank leaned forward, slowly. What? Diane blinked once, twice, too late. Fear, real fear. You know Connor, I said quietly. You know Connor? I heard his name. When? Silence. When? I repeated. Alec, when? Her hand tightened around the coffee cup. I don't remember. Lie, clear, clean, lie. My whole career. 32 years. People lie differently depending on what they're protecting. Fear lies quickly. Greed lies carefully. Guilt lies emotionally. Diane lied like somebody protecting something she'd carried a long time. Interesting. Very interesting. We should go, Frank said quietly. I looked toward him. What now? He gave me a look. Frank look. Mechanic wisdom look. Don't overwork the engine, I understood. Not enough information. Push harder now she closes. Back off, she thinks. Thinking creates mistakes. I stood. Diane stood immediately. Too immediately. You aren't leaving angry, she asked. No, not angry. Worse. Focused. No. Alec. No. Soft. Controlled. I'll talk to you later. Fear. Tiny. But there. We walked out. Cold air hit hard. November wind. Gray sky. Leaves scraping sidewalks. Frank didn't speak until truck doors closed. Then she knows. Yeah. A lot more than she said. Yeah. You okay? No? Good. What? Means you're still thinking. I stared forward. Hands tight. Heart steady. Strange. Very strange. I wasn't spiraling anymore. Dangerous thing about old instincts. Once they wake up, they stay awake. You know what bothers me? I said, what? She said she knew Connor. Yeah? Before I explained anything. Yeah? She knew. Yeah? Silence. Wind outside. Engine noise. Thoughts moving. Pattern recognition. Behavior. Fear. Greed. Greedy people rush. Remember Frank pulled onto the road. What now? Good question. What now? I pulled out my notebook. Facts. Only facts. Diane knew Connor. Diane knew money existed. Diane involved in paperwork, insurance, adoption timeline. Emily Carter, Michigan. Connor, phone number. Detroit, 20 years. Question why? Always why. By Saturday morning, I sat inside Rachel Mercer's office downtown Toledo. No relation to Diane, different Mercer. Rachel Mercer handled probate law, estate disputes, inheritance fights, sharp woman, mid-50s, dark blazer, silver reading glasses. Office smelled like coffee and expensive printer toner. I'll say this carefully. Rachel said, good. 20 years changes records. I know. Some documents disappear. I know. Some don't. I know. She folded her hands. What exactly are you asking me? I slid papers forward. Insurance records, timeline notes, adoption dates. She read quietly. No interruptions. Good sign. Lawyers interrupt when they're bored. Rachel wasn't bored. She looked up. Question. Okay. Who handled beneficiary administration for Ethan Richardson's supplemental policy? Diane. You sure? Paperwork says administrative processing. What? Strange. What's strange? Beneficiary review doesn't usually happen like this. Cold, sharp. What do you mean? Depends. Rachel. I'm serious. She adjusted glasses. Who received funds? I don't know. You should. I never knew policy existed. Rachel stared, long, careful, then, that's a problem. How big? Potentially very. Good. No, not good. Important. Different thing. Can records still exist? Maybe. 20 years? Depends on who wanted them kept. Interesting. Very interesting. 2 hours later, Frank and I sat inside Rosie's diner. Booth 4, coffee, cherry pie. Frank claimed pie improved legal strategy. Unsupported science. Phone buzzed. Connor. Message. Photo attachment. Opened. My pulse immediately changed. Document. Old. Scanned. Faded. Hospital discharge authorization. November 2004. Emily Carter. Signature. Witness. One witness. Diane Mercer. No, no, no. Frank saw my face. What? I handed phone over. Silence, long silence, dangerous silence. Then, well, yeah, that's bad. Yeah, real bad. Yeah. Question. What? Why witness adoption paperwork? I don't know. Yes, you do. No. Alec, I don't. You do? No. You absolutely do. Frank leaned forward. She knew Emily. Yeah. She knew Connor. Yeah. She knew money existed. Yeah. She handled paperwork. Yeah. So? Silence. No, no, no. Because saying things out loud makes them real. And real things don't disappear. My phone buzzed again. Connor, text message, simple, short, 4 words. Found something else, photo attached. I opened it, read once, twice, third time, couldn't breathe. Frank reached across table. What? I handed him my phone. His face changed immediately. Well, he said quietly, looks like somebody just made a very expensive mistake. Because sitting on my screen 20 years late was proof Diane Mercer had been talking to Emily Carter months after Ethan died. There's something people misunderstand about lies. Big lies don't usually collapse because of one giant mistake. They collapse because small mistakes pile up until gravity finally wins. My entire career taught me that. Fraud systems, telecommunication scams, identity theft rings. People imagine criminals get caught in dramatic ways. Most don't. Most get caught because greed makes people impatient, and impatient people make stupid decisions. Sunday morning, 6:42 a.m. Rosie's Diner. Booth 4. Coffee, no breakfast. Frank noticed. You nervous? No. Liar. Little. Good. You keep saying that because it keeps being true. Rain pressed softly against the diner windows. Ohio, doing Ohio things, gray sky, cold roads, weather designed specifically to make retirees discuss Florida. My phone sat face down beside my coffee. Connor would call at 9. Rachel Mercer would join us by speakerphone. And if everything went the way I thought, Diane Mercer was about to make the biggest mistake of her life. Not because she was evil. That's important. I need you to understand something. Diane wasn't some cartoon villain. She volunteered, helped neighbors, sent birthday cards, brought casseroles, visited people in hospitals. Real people aren't monsters. Real people justify things. Real people convince themselves ugly decisions were necessary. That's what makes them dangerous. Frank stirred sugar into coffee. Too much sugar, criminal amount of sugar. You ready? No. Good. What? Means you're taking it seriously. Frank. What? You ever stop talking? No. At 8:58 a.m. exactly, my phone buzzed. Connor. Morning, he said. Young voice, steady, nervous underneath. Rachel joined 30 seconds later. Professional, calm, prepared. Connor, Rachel said, you understand we're not accusing anyone yet. Yeah, we're gathering information. Okay. And Alec, yeah, you're not speaking unless necessary. I know. No emotional reactions. Rachel, I'm serious. Frank leaned toward me. I like her. Traitor. I appreciate competence. Plan was simple. Simple wins. Always. Connor would call Diane. Connor would say he found more records. Connor would suggest he intended to pursue legal review regarding biological family connections. Nothing false, nothing illegal, nothing dramatic, just pressure. Pressure reveals truth. Greed accelerates mistakes. 9:03 a.m. Connor dialed. Speakerphone ring 1, 2, 3. Diane answered. Hello? Warm? Gentle? Careful? Connor spoke. Hi. Pause. Who's this Connor Hayes? Silence. Tiny. Dangerous. Connor. Interesting. No confusion, no hesitation, straight recognition. Rachel quietly wrote something down. Good. Very good. I found more paperwork, Connor said. Silence. Then, oh. Not what paperwork? Not what do you mean? Just oh. Fear. Fear has rhythms, remember. I found records about Emily Carter. Long pause, long enough, dangerous enough. Connor. And Ethan Richardson. Silence. Then, what do you want? Frank slowly looked toward me. Rachel wrote again. I stayed quiet, breathing carefully, thinking, always thinking. I just wanted answers, Connor said. You have parents. Cold, sharp, unexpected. You have parents. Room went quiet. Rachel stopped writing. Frank slowly leaned back. Interesting. Very interesting. Connor swallowed. They're dead. Silence. Long. Real. Then, I'm sorry. First genuine thing she'd said. Interesting. Very interesting. But this won't help anyone. There are records. Connor, there are papers. Connor, there are things people hid. Long silence, then danger. Real danger. How much do you know? Rachel lifted her eyes immediately. There it was. Not what are you talking about, not hidden what, not explain. How much do you know? Greedy people always skip steps. Always. Connor stayed calm. Good kid. Smart kid. I know enough. Bad answer. Too vague. Good. Vague scares guilty people. Silence. Then, if Alec knows, my pulse changed instantly. Not Mr. Richardson. Alec. Personal. Fear personal. Interesting. He knows enough, Connor said. Long silence. 32 years telecommunications investigations. You learn silence matters. People fill silence. Greed hates silence. Greed rushes. Diane rushed. Connor. Voice softer now. Careful. Controlled. If this becomes public, Rachel immediately wrote harder. Fast. Very fast. Interesting. What becomes public? Connor asked. Pause. Small. Deadly. Nothing. Lie. Clean. Fast. Fear. Connor. Yeah. You seem like a good young man. Frank quietly rolled his eyes. Manipulation, obvious. You had a good family. Silence. You should leave this alone. Why? Because. No. Connor, no. Long silence. Then greed. Greed finally showed up. Right on schedule. If this is financial, Rachel mouthed there are ways to help? Room froze. Completely. Connor stayed quiet. Good. Very good. Help, he asked. If money is making life difficult. My hands tightened, not because surprise, because confirmation. Frank slowly exhaled. Rachel writing nonstop now. How much? Connor asked. Small, careful, perfect. Silence, fear, calculation, greed, calculating. Then Diane Mercer destroyed herself. I could arrange $214,000. Nobody moved, nobody breathed, nobody. $214,000. Exact amount, insurance amount, exact, perfect. Impossible to explain away. No accident, no misunderstanding, no coincidence. Exact. Greed, impatience, arrogance. 3 things. Always deadly together. Rachel slowly removed her glasses. Frank leaned back, closed his eyes. Not because surprised, because done. Done, finished. Connor whispered quietly. Why that number? Silence. Real silence. Danger. Silence. Then Diane spoke, too fast, too emotional, too late. Because it belongs to Ethan. My chest stopped. Everything stopped. No, no, no. It belonged to Ethan, Diane whispered, voice shaking. Real emotion, real fear. He would have wanted... Connor cut her off. No. Silence. No, Connor said quietly. You're lying. Long silence. Then something changed. Voice. Breathing. Control. Gone. You don't understand, Diane whispered. I was trying to protect people. Protect. Interesting. Protect who? Rachel leaned forward, eyes sharp, danger sharp. Connor stayed steady. Good kid. Very good kid. Protect who? Connor asked. Silence long. Then Emily. Emily couldn't do it. Cold, sharp, final. Room silent. Nobody moved. Nobody. Emily couldn't raise him, Diane whispered. Him? Connor asked quietly. Silence, then worst mistake. Worst one. He deserved better. He, not maybe, not uncertainty, knowledge, direct, certain. 20 years, gone, finished. Truth finally cracking. Rachel slowly spoke. Professional. Calm. Dangerously calm. Diane. Silence. Diane Mercer. Silence. You should get an attorney. Call disconnected. Nobody spoke, not immediately. Rain outside, coffee cold. Rosie's diner humming quietly around us. Normal life continuing, like always. Frank finally spoke. Soft. Quiet. Well, nobody laughed. Nobody. Because sitting there holding cold coffee staring at rain, I realized something. I hadn't lost Ethan twice. I'd lost 20 years. And somebody had decided that loss belonged to them. People think truth feels victorious. It doesn't. Truth feels heavy, especially when it arrives 20 years late. Tuesday morning, Lucas County Probate Court, downtown Toledo. Cold enough to make your hands ache. Gray Ohio sky hanging low over government buildings that somehow always look tired. I stood outside holding coffee I hadn't touched. Frank stood beside me, hands in jacket pockets. Quiet, very quiet, which worried me. You okay? I asked. No. What? I hate courthouse parking. I stared at him. That's what you're worried about. $8. Frank? $8, Alec. I think we have bigger issues. Government robbery bothers me. I laughed. Not because things felt funny. Because sometimes your body reaches for normal things when life stops making sense. Rachel Mercer met us near the entrance. Dark coat, leather folder, professional expression, no wasted movement. Morning, she said. Nobody answered enthusiastically. Fair. You sleep, she asked. No, I said. Little, Frank said. Liar, Rachel answered. Frank nodded. Fair. Connor arrived 10 minutes later, dark jacket, hands shoved into pockets, nervous, young, too young. 22. My chest tightened again. 22. Ethan stayed 22 forever. Connor kept getting older. Life can be cruel without trying. You okay? I asked. No. Good. Frank immediately pointed. See? Connor blinked. What? He says that constantly, I said. It's annoying. It's wisdom, Frank said. It's annoying wisdom. We walked inside. Metal detectors, security desk, government lighting, everything somehow beige. Courtrooms don't look dramatic in real life. They look tired. Paperwork, fluorescent lights, coffee stains, people carrying problems. Rachel led us toward a small hearing room. Not criminal court, not television courtroom drama. Administrative hearing. Records, estate review, document disputes, legal access, process. Real life works slower than movies. Diane arrived at 9:17. Black coat, hair perfect, expression controlled, attorney beside her, man around 60, blue tie, expensive watch, professional confidence. Diane looked at me, stopped, just for a second. Fear, still there. Good. Not because I wanted revenge, because fear meant truth finally reached her. She walked closer. Alec. I said nothing. Alec. You hid him. No anger, no yelling, no drama, just truth. She closed her eyes. Briefly. Pain. Real pain. Interesting. Her lawyer stepped forward. I think no, Rachel said immediately. Professional voice, sharp. We're not doing hallway conversations. Good, very good. Hearing room, small. Wood tables, records clerk. Judge reviewing document authority issues. Legal process beginning. No dramatic music, no shocking television moment. Just paper. Paper changes lives. Funny. All this started because I kept paper. Judge reviewed file history, insurance administration, beneficiary processing, document inconsistencies, adoption records, witness involvement, timeline conflicts, piece by piece by piece. Truth doesn't arrive dramatically. Truth builds slowly until it stands up. Diane stayed quiet, attorney speaking mostly, Rachel presenting, Connor sitting beside me, Frank behind us, support, steady, necessary. Then Rachel introduced the call recording, legal, properly documented. Diane offering money, $214,000, exact amount, insurance amount, no explanation, no misunderstanding. Judge looked toward Diane. Her attorney leaned closer, whispered, long whisper. Diane stared downward, hands folded, perfect nails, slight shaking. Real fear now. Judge reviewed hospital witness documentation, Emily Carter, adoption timing, insurance processing, beneficiary administration, timeline overlap, everything tightening slowly, carefully, until finally one question, simple, dangerous. Judge looked toward Diane. Mrs. Mercer. Quiet. Did you know Emily Carter was pregnant before Ethan Richardson died? Silence. Long. Heavy. Real. Attorney whispered. Diane closed her eyes, opened them again. Slowly. I did. My chest tightened. Connor froze beside me. Frank went completely still. 20 years gone. Judge continued. Did Alec Richardson know? No. Quiet. Broken. No. Did Margaret Richardson know? Silence. Long. Painful. Then, no. Something inside me cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically. Quiet. Quiet hurts worse. Why? I asked. Nobody stopped me, nobody. Why? Diane finally looked at me. Actually looked, not polished Diane, not church Diane, not helpful Diane, real Diane. Tired, older, broken. Emily was scared. That isn't an answer. I know. Why? Ethan died. I know. Emily couldn't do it. You decided for us. No. Yes? No. Voice breaking, actually breaking. We tried we, cold, sharp, we. Who? Who? Silence. Then Maggie knew Emily was struggling. No, no, no. Maggie wanted to help. No. She did. No. My voice sharper, harder. No. Diane crying now, actually crying, real, messy, human. I didn't tell Maggie everything. Cold, sharp, dangerous. What? I told her Emily needed help. No, no, no. I told her adoption was temporary. No, no, no. I thought, you thought, voice shaking, mine, not hers, mine. You thought. Emily agreed. Where? Michigan. Why? Because voice breaking, real, ugly, human. Because Emily wanted a better life for him. Connor silent beside me, completely silent. Judge quiet. Everyone quiet. I stayed involved. Diane whispered. I checked on him. What? Voice barely worked. I checked on him. You hid him. I protected him. No. Tears now. Mine. Didn't care. No energy left. No. Ethan was gone. No. Emily spiraled. No. Connor had stability. You hid him. Silence. Then worst part. Worst part always arrives quietly. I was afraid. There? Real answer? Finally. Afraid of what? Poverty. Quiet. I grew up poor. Silence. Dad drank. Quiet. Mom worked herself sick. Quiet. I watched people drown. She looked toward Connor, then me, then table. I thought money would protect him. Insurance, money, fear, greed. Fear becomes greed sometimes. People don't notice when it happens. I kept the insurance. Quiet. I know. I thought, I know. You hate me? Silence. Long. Honest. No. Everyone looked toward me. No, I said quietly. I don't. True. Strangely true. Hate requires energy. I felt tired. Very tired. You stole 20 years. Quiet. Yes. You stole Maggie's chance. Tears. Real. Yes. You stole mine. Silence. Yes. Room quiet. No dramatic victory, no satisfaction, just damage. 20 years of damage. Hearing ended slowly. Legal process continuing, records, financial review, estate correction, possible civil consequences, paperwork, always paperwork. Outside courthouse, cold wind. Gray sky. Ohio. Same world. Different life. Connor stood beside me. Quiet. You okay? He asked. No, not remotely. I don't know. Fair answer. Truth answer. Frank stood nearby, hands in jacket pockets, waiting. Good friends wait. Connor looked down. I don't know what to call you. That hit harder than court, harder than truth, harder than Diane. I looked at him, really looked, young, scared, trying, just trying. You don't have to call me anything, I said quietly. Not yet. Because truth gives answers, but answers don't automatically build families. People think healing feels big. It doesn't. Healing feels small. It feels like making coffee for one extra person. It feels like learning somebody's favorite food. It feels like awkward silence that slowly becomes comfortable. It feels like staying. 3 weeks after court, I drove Connor to Oak Grove Cemetery, late November. Cold enough to make your fingers hurt. Ohio trees mostly bare, gray sky, wind pushing dead leaves across narrow cemetery roads. Connor sat quietly beside me in the Ford Ranger, hands in jacket pockets, looking out the window, thinking. We'd done a lot of that lately, thinking, talking too, slowly, carefully, not forcing things. You can force furniture into place. You can't force family. Frank understood that better than anybody. You two need normal things, and he told me one afternoon, we talk. No, we spend time. No, what then? Normal. What does that even mean? Food, Frank. Food fixes 80% of problems. That's not remotely true. Name one thing pie makes worse. Heart disease. You're negative. Frank liked Connor. Immediately. Of course he did. Connor laughed at his terrible jokes. That alone guaranteed loyalty. 2 weeks earlier, Frank brought Connor into the garage. Rule 1, Frank said, what? We never loan Alec tools. I can hear you. He steals sockets. I do not. You absolutely do. Connor laughed, real laugh, young laugh, familiar, dangerously familiar. Sometimes he'd smile sideways, like Ethan. Sometimes he'd push hair back while thinking, like Maggie. Life has strange ways of reminding you what survives. Oak Grove appeared ahead, quiet, still, beautiful in the way sad places sometimes become. Connor looked toward me. You okay? No. Fair answer. Truth answer. I don't know if I should be here. You should. What if it feels weird? It'll feel weird. Great. Life charges extra for normal. Small smile. Good. Small smiles matter. We parked. Cold wind immediately punished poor decisions. Ohio weather, committed enemy of human happiness. Connor zipped his jacket higher. You know, Day, I said, your dad hated cold weather. He looked toward me. Ethan. First time he'd said Ethan. Not biological father, not him. Ethan. Small thing, big thing. Yeah. What was he like? I smiled. Unexpected. Real. Drove too fast. Connor smiled. Forget birthdays. Sounds familiar. Borrowed tools. Really? Never returned them. Seriously. Seriously. We walked slowly. Boots against gravel, cold air, silence not uncomfortable, just quiet. Row 17, Section C, Ethan Richardson, 1982 to 2004. 22 years. Forever. Connor stopped walking. Completely. I didn't rush him. Grief moves at its own speed, always. He stared, long time. Wind moving through bare branches, traffic somewhere distant, world continuing like always. I don't know what to say, Connor whispered. You don't have to say anything. I should. No. Silence. Then quietly, I'm sorry. My chest tightened, hard, sharp. No. I looked toward him. No. For what? I don't know. No. Tears. Unexpected. Mine, not his. Mine. You don't apologize for surviving. Silence. I should have known you. Voice breaking. His, not mine. I should have known him. Cold air. Gray sky. 20 years. You know him now, I said quietly. Connor stared at the stone. Long time. Then he would have liked me. I almost broke. Almost. He would have loved you. Truth. Simple truth. Wind moved harder. Leaves shifting softly. I stood beside my son's grave. Grandson beside me. 20 years stolen. Something still surviving anyway. Funny world. Cruel world. Beautiful world. All three. We stayed almost 40 minutes. Stories. Small stories. Ethan getting suspended once because he defended another kid. Ethan driving 45 minutes for fries Maggie liked. Ethan pretending he could cook. He absolutely could not. How bad? Connor asked. He once burned soup. 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 That's impressive. It honestly was. Small laugh. Good. Important. Human. On the drive home, Connor fell asleep. Passenger seat. Head leaning slightly toward window. 22 years old. Young man. Trying. Healing. I glanced over once at a stoplight. Strange thing. Life didn't feel fixed. Not remotely. Diane faced consequences. Financial review. Legal accountability. Civil complications. Truth entered places. Truth should have entered 20 years ago, but punishment doesn't repair time. Time stays gone. I visited Diane once before Christmas, not because forgiveness happened, not because everything healed, because life isn't television. Closure rarely arrives dramatically. Nursing facility. Smaller room. Quieter Diane, older somehow. Fear gone, mostly. Regret stayed, heavy, real. I ruined everything, she said quietly. No. She looked toward me. No. No. You hate me? No. Why? Long silence. Long, honest silence. Because hate means carrying you forever. Quiet. I carried enough already. She cried. Real crying, human crying, not villain, not monster, person, broken person. People become dangerous when fear convinces them control equals love. Diane learned that too late. A lot of people do. Christmas arrived quietly. Snow. Frank burning dinner accidentally. Tradition. Connor helping hang lights badly. Also, tradition now. Too high, Frank said, and it's fine. No, it looks good. It looks stupid. Frank, I stand by my position. Laughter, warm house, coffee, life, not fixed, alive, different, good enough. Maybe that's what healing actually is. Not becoming who you were before. Becoming somebody new without losing everything old. Pay attention to this next part, because I need you to understand something. Sometimes life steals years. Sometimes people fail you. Sometimes truth arrives so late it feels unfair. But unfair isn't the end. Not always. You keep going. You keep showing up. You keep building slowly, awkwardly, imperfectly. Because love doesn't disappear. It changes shape. That's all. It changes shape. If there's one thing this taught me, It's this fear makes people hide truth. Greed makes people justify terrible choices. But time eventually collects what people owe. And if you've carried grief, real grief, don't punish yourself for what somebody else buried. You survived. That matters. If this story meant something to you, join our community by hitting that like button and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever been in a situation like this? We read every single one. And as always, thank you for being a part of this.